The Minnesota ROKKR home series has come and gone, and it was really a phenomenal weekend of Call of Duty, but it's time to move on from that and break down the winners and losers from the event. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unscripted, where today we are looking at some of the top winners and losers for the Minnesota ROKKR home series, and as always, we are doing it off the script. If you enjoyed today's video, consider supporting the channel by leaving a like down below, leave a comment as well with your thoughts on the video and your thoughts on the winners and losers from the past weekend of Call of Duty, and subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see more videos like this one from me in the future. I appreciate all of that so much, and let's hop right into the video. So the team I'm looking at who I think is the biggest winner from the Minnesota ROKKR home series is actually the Florida Mutineers. There's a few reasons for this. First of all, they're just playing really good Call of Duty at a really good time. That's like the biggest takeaway from me. This guy Neptune, I mean, if you've been watching my videos all along, which I know I didn't have many views earlier in the season, but I have been high on this guy all season long. I think I always saw the potential, and even when the output didn't quite match the potential, I was still very pleased with what I saw from him. The way he moves around the map, plays very well in search, you know the drill. He's just awesome, and he's really hitting form at the right time. I think he's just very good. I mean, what else can you really say about Neptune? And then Sky's an awakening there, playing well as well. They have been for most of the year. Even Havoc has been making a lot better plays lately. You know, he's always sort of been their dirty work, ratty guy, but he's also been playing better in the slaying department, so that speaks big news for them as we move towards the Stage 5 Major and towards Champs. But beyond just the way they're playing, there's also the battle for seeding, because as we know, getting that 6th seed is very important. You know, seeds 7 and 8 will start in the losers bracket of Champs, while the 6th seed will start in the winners bracket, and they're right in contention for that. You know, as I said earlier in my video last week, my biggest storyline to watch heading into the ROKKR home series was the battle for that 6th seed, because it was very close, and Florida had the best weekend of those three teams. They are now only 20 points behind the Minnesota ROKKR for the number 6 seed, and they play ROKKR next week, and that's ROKKR's only match of the weekend next week. So if they can beat ROKKR, and if they would beat Toronto, which probably won't happen, they would get 20 points and be tied with ROKKR. But even if they would lose to Toronto, they would head into the major just 10 points behind the ROKKR and in a very good spot to catch them and maybe pass them in terms of getting the 6th seed for Chance, which again would be absolutely huge for this team. You know, that's a very big difference starting in the winners bracket versus the losers bracket. I don't have to tell you that's very important for them. So if they can do that, that would be awesome for them. But a whole bunch of stuff going right for them right now. Of course, like I said, just the fact that they're playing so well, that is the most important thing right now. Even if they would happen to start in the losers bracket at Champs, they're still a good enough team to go on a run if they're playing the way they're playing right now. But if they can get even more luck on their side, keep playing really well, get some big wins yet, and then perform well at the Stage 5 Major, they can find their way into the winners bracket at Champs, which would be absolutely huge for this team, would give them a little extra breathing room, and would let them maybe make a run towards the top 4 at Champs. So Florida Mutineers, great weekend for them. I was very impressed with what I saw from them this past weekend. The team that I'm looking at as the biggest loser from the Minnesota ROKKR home series is probably the New York Subliners. It was not a good weekend for them. They only played one series, but they did lose that to the London Royal Ravens. They had that massive blown lead on the opening checkmate hardpoint. That was terrible. They were up by like 100 points with P5 spawns to close it out, and they ended up losing the entire map. So very bad stuff there. It just seems like they're falling apart at the wrong time. You know, this is not the time of the year that you want to have your struggles. If you have your struggles in Stage 2, Stage 3, whatever, you're going to have your struggles at some point unless you're phased pretty much. But the big thing is if you can work out the problems, get all on the same page, and move forward towards the end of the year, you know, at your strongest. That has not been the case for them. They've really been not looking good, and it's a very inopportune time for them to be struggling. The race for the 2 seed is practically evaporating for these guys. They're more likely to fall down to the 5 seed than they are to go up to the 2 or 3 seed. They're falling behind Toronto and Dallas very fast, and Optic is right on their heels, so it has not been good for them in that regard either. And then their hardpoint, they have not been able to rely on their hardpoint like they were able to rely on it earlier in the year. Remember, like in Stage 3, when they were like head and shoulders the best hardpoint team in the game? That is long gone now. They're 2 and 3 so far in hardpoints in Stage 5. They only have 2 other combined wins on the other 2 modes, 1 in search, 1 in control. So it's been ugly all around for those guys right now, and they just can't rely on their hardpoints the way they could back when they were winning a lot of series, because if you could guarantee yourself 2 hardpoint wins, you only had to steal 1 more map to take the series. But now they're fighting in those hard points, and they can't really win the searches or the controls beyond that either. So it's been ugly all around for the New York Subliners. They definitely have to get it going if they want to have any chance at making a run at Stage 5 Major or at Champs. They're 0-3 in the group stage right now. They probably will be starting in losers bracket for the next major, so that's not good for them. And it's definitely a bad time for New York to be struggling so much. As the next winner, I'm going to take a look at Optic Chicago. I think they made a big statement with their win over the Atlanta FaZe. It was their only series of the weekend, but they looked very sharp, and more importantly, they were able to finally take down their boogeyman, who they have struggled with all season long. The last 2 times they played FaZe, they got pretty much speed ran, like 40-minute series, and it was over. They got a huge confidence boost with this win over the Atlanta FaZe for sure. I mean, you could just see the way they were playing. They were playing with more confidence. It kind of looked like previously in the year when they would play FaZe, they were just playing like they were scared. That was not the case, especially Envoy. You saw the way that guy was flying around the map, making plays, getting right up into the faces of aBeZy and Simp, and not being scared of it. it was phenomenal to see from him and from the entire team. They all played well at different points in the series. Formal played well in the searches, Envoy played well in the opening hardpoint and the searches, Scum played well in control. You know, all around they all contributed majorly to this win. It was a huge win for this team, and like I said, get their confidence up going forward if they have to face this team again, which I'm sure they will at some point. They also are in a very good spot to get their #1 seed in their group and get that bye at the major. All they have to do is win one of their next 2 series next weekend, and they're against LA Thieves and London, I believe. So they're definitely going to win one of them. I mean, I'd be very surprised if they would lose both of them. So they should be in a good spot to get their bye at the major, get some more pro points, and really they have an outside chance for the top 3. It's not likely, but it's possible. If they can win both of their maps or both of their series this coming weekend, they'll be at 320 points for the season. And Dallas will probably be at 340 or 350 for that 3rd seed. So if Optic could come out and perform well at the major and Dallas struggles, there's no reason to believe that Optic can't jump them in the standings. Again, it's not very likely, but it's possible. So they have an outside chance for the top 3 if they can get this bye at the major, get a good placement, you know, 1st or 2nd, and Dallas would struggle a little bit. They could jump into that top 3, which would be big for them. They would avoid New York in the 1st round then. They would get Florida or Minnesota most likely instead. So all good things could come from that, and it's definitely an outside chance, but a chance nonetheless. So there's a whole lot to like about this win from Optic. Big confidence boost, big jump in the standings, and it's just they're getting better at the right time, it seems. If they can hold this up and keep performing this way, they definitely have an outside chance to win the Stage 5 major and perform well and maybe even win champs this year. So good stuff for Optic. It's awesome to see that as a fan. I'm sure all their fans are very happy with the way they're performing right now. And finally, the other big loser from the weekend, in my opinion, is the LA Thieves. They just had a really bad performance against the Paris Legion to end their weekend after they had a strong showing against FaZe. I mean, they lost 3-1, but they were close. You know, both the hard points were very close in that series. They were able to come back from the 5-2 deficit on Moscow, Search and Destroy to win the map, but they weren't able to close out the series. But regardless, you know, it was promising the way they performed against FaZe. They were definitely looking better and, you know, trending in the right direction, continuing their momentum that they got earlier in the stage. Then they came out and they really just dropped an egg against Paris. They only won one map. It was the opening raid hardpoint, and it was close. You know, Paris had that one. They filmed it away. LA was able to take it by about 20 to 30 points, whatever it was. They ended up coming out and losing the next control and the hardpoint to lose the series 3-1. It was ugly for them. The race for the 6th seed is pretty much, it's not gone for them. They're only 20 points behind Minnesota, and they're actually tied with Florida. But the schedules don't look good for them because Florida and Minnesota play next week, so one of them's guaranteed 10 points there. And LA Thieves play Optic, and that's their only match of next weekend. So odds are they probably will be getting 0 points next weekend. And that, of course, is not good for them because then if they want to get the 6th seed, they're probably having to look at a top 3, maybe top 4 placement at the next major to secure that 6th seed and get out of the losers bracket for champs. And that's just not very likely given how some of these teams right now are performing. They're not a top 4 team, so to be able to have to rely on a top 4 placement to get a bye or to get into the winners bracket at champs, not a good spot for this team right now. I just think they don't have the consistency. Like I said, they looked good against FaZe. They come out and they drop an egg against Paris. And it wasn't like they were just narrowly losing or sort of making crucial mistakes at bad times. Like they just straight up got beat by Paris, and it wasn't really that competitive. It wasn't a good look for them. They've sort of been this team all year where when they're at their best, they can beat some of the top teams in the league or at least compete with them. But when they're at their worst, they can lose to pretty much anybody in the league. I don't think they've beat the LA Gorillas yet this year. Then they come out, they lose to Paris with, you know, a potential spot at like a guaranteed winners bracket spot at the next major on the line. So it was rough for them. They can still get a winners bracket spot. If they beat Optic, they'll pretty much be guaranteed a major or a winners bracket spot at the Stage 5 major. If they lose, they can still get in there on a tiebreaker, but it's not looking good for them. Like I said, they definitely want to be in that winners bracket because the more pro points, the better in that race for the 6th seed. And right now, it's not looking great for them. So I think the LA Thieves were definitely losers at this event, and they have to turn it around fast because champs and the Stage 5 major, you know, they'll be here sooner than later. That's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like down below and leave a comment as well with your thoughts on the winners and losers from the Minnesota ROKKR Home Series, and subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see more videos like this one from me in the future. I appreciate all of that more than you would ever know. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good rest of your day today, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.